Okay, now that everything's done, we are going to, or I'm going to show you how to get like views, so our elevations and our floor plan views through a model. So this is the front view, which would be a front elevation, but remember an elevation is straight on, so we have to alter our views slightly in order to get the correct views. So in order to get views, we have to go to camera, and then we have to place it on parallel projection. So you might have been using it like looking at it like this, which is good. This is what I prefer. We're going to click parallel projection. I think it kind of warps it in a bit in a way where I don't like it. But if you want to use SketchUp like this, you definitely can. But this is a way to get elevations. So we're in camera, we are in parallel projection. And now we're going to go to our standard views. So we definitely want all the sides of our house plus the top view to get the floor plan. So let's look at the front. So the front ends up being this side, and if you if you made your drawing like how I did, like how it's on the axis, then this will be your front. Technically, according to SketchUp, it's going to get you this view. This view is like the front of SketchUp. We know that this is our front view, but this is what it's called, the front view in SketchUp. If you rotate your entire model for it to be the front view over here, then it'll show you the front view. But it's no big deal. We just got to make sure we get every view. So you're going to go to the view. We want to get our front. Then we go to the camera. We're going to get the back camera. We're going to get the left camera. And we're going to get the right. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a screenshot of every single one of them, and we're going to submit it. So let me go ahead and just start with what I have here. And then we're also going to learn how to dimension. So whatever view we want to start with, but we're going to do it to every single side. So this is what we have. And we need to take a screenshot of this elevation. But on elevations, they have dimensions. So we do have to dimension as well. So for our dimensions, we're going to go ahead and grab where is it? You're going to go to Tools, and you're going to go to the Dimensions. And what you're going to do is going to dimension now what we have. So I'm going to click and click. And then we're just going to raise it up a little bit and click. Okay, and now we're going to get the dimensions again. So I can click, oops. Let's go ahead and click right here at the end point. So like at the bottom, so where the floor is, not where your foundation is at the bottom, not here, but right here. We're going to click and click up and then bring it out a little bit. So we should have 8 feet by 20 feet. Okay, once that's completed, you're going to go to your snipping tool, click the little bottom, type snipping tool, and you're going to want to get a screenshot of this elevation. You can keep the lady in there, that's fine, I don't care. But you're going to save the elevation with it dimensioned. I know this is the back of my room that I made, so because the front would be on the other side, so I'm just going to call it the back elevation SketchUp tutorial. You can call it whatever you need to call it, or you just call it back elevation or whatever, just so because when you upload them to the Google Classroom, you need to know what you're uploading. You're going to upload each elevation. So I think it's best to name it back elevation, front elevation, left, right elevation, so you know which ones you need and which ones you've already uploaded. And you're just going to save it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go do that to every single side. So we do not need our dimension lines to stay there. They're just strictly for the elevation purposes. Now we can go ahead and select the dimension line and click delete on our computer. Select it and delete on our keyboard. Now I can go get the next view. Okay, this is technically my front view. So I'm going to do the same thing, except when we dimension, we need to now dimension the windows and the doors because that's what's showing as well. So tools, dimensions. This SketchUp dimension's a little weird. You have to start from here and go, where is it? Hold on, I forgot how to do it. Okay, so in order to, because obviously we would want a dimension from here to here, but for some reason it doesn't allow that. So you have to draw a line up, and I'm going to stay on the blue axis because it just goes straight up. And then you go to your tools, dimensions, and we're dimensioning from this point to this point. So where the start of our window is to the edge of our outside, from this point to that point, from that point to that point. Okay, and then you can go to the selection tool, select the little lines that you drew, and you can delete them. And now we need a height of these two items. So we're going to draw, or we're going to get our dimension tool. We're in dimension from, now you got to start from this point. You can't already start at a point where one's already intersecting. So we're going to go from this point to this point, bring it out, and we're going to go from this point to this point and bring it out. Now we can delete that line that we drew, and there we go. Now it's dimensioned correctly. We can see how far away the window starts from that point of the window to the door, and then that point to the end, and then the distance between the bottom of the, or the distance between the top and the bottom, and then the gap between the top of the wall and the distance of the top of the window and door. Once that's done, we can take a screenshot. I'm going to save it as front elevation. It should be saving as a PNG. Save it, exit. Now I can go ahead and delete the dimension lines, and I can move on to the next side. Already got that view. Okay. If I kind of orbit it, I called this the front of the house. So if I were standing directly in front of the house, like looking at the house, my right side would technically be this side. So when I save it, I'm gonna call it the right side. And in this one, since there's no window on the side, we can just do a really quick dimension of the height and the length. We need to make sure that we are staying on the parallel projection, don't forget, and that we are using our tools or our parallel projection and our views correctly. You should not have to touch it after that. Actually, let me mention this real quick. So if you do orbit like I just did, and it's looking like this is not an elevation. I should not be able to see the tops of the walls, any other thing. Even if you go like this. Like I shouldn't be able to see that side of the wall or anything. An elevation is just a straight on view. So once you find your angle, your view, that's it. Don't touch it. Okay, and then you want to take a picture of that. Delete your dimension lines. Okay, now this one has a window, so we're definitely going to get another dimension. Remember that we have to find that height of the window and then from the beginning to that start of the window. Mm, click, click, click. From this point, click, click, bring it up. From this point, click, click, bring it up. Okay, now, oops, don't forget to delete your lines so they're not in that photo. And this one for me would be my left elevation. Okay, now I can delete these. And then our last one would be the floor plan. So we have our elevations of each side. Now if you go to the camera and standard views, we are going to go to the top. So zoom out, zoom in a little bit. Remember, the floor plan is a straight-on view. Don't orbit. If you're going to orbit, I should not see any of the walls, like on the side. Shouldn't see anything on the outside. It's just camera, standard views, top. Make sure you're in parallel projection, and that's all I should see is the very tops of those walls. Okay, now the purpose of the floor plan is to get the length and width and also the wall thicknesses. So we are going to do a line to get that wall thickness when we do our dimensions. Tools, oops, not text. Dimensions. So a little dimension point right there, and then from there to there, and then, okay. Dimensions, and then our overall dimension. So your dimension should be 20 feet, and then 9 feet, 6 inches plus 6 inches is 10 feet. So it should be 20 feet by 10 feet. That's what you should have with your wall thicknesses is 6 inches. Once that's completed, you want to screenshot it. Okay, so that's it. You can go ahead and delete these dimension lines. You can change it back to perspective mode, how we had it. And that's it for your dimensioning and making sure you get elevations and floor plans from this model. When you upload into the Google Classroom, make sure you are submitting one. Since there's 4 sides, we need 4 pictures plus the floor plan view, which is an additional picture. So that's 5 pictures total.